Welcome to part 2 of Neville the Shark tutorial. We're going to make the fins of the shark, the two side fins. So to start off, we're going to take our gray yarn. We're going to make a magic ring. So you take your top 3 fingers and wrap the yarn around it like so. You're going to create an X on one side and 2 parallel lines on the other side, grabbing that yarn with your pinky finger. Then you're going to take your crochet hook, go under the first loop and over top the second. Bring that second loop back underneath, twist your hook 180 degrees, and then grab that same yarn and pull it through the loop. If you didn't quite catch this, I'm going to show it again in slow motion. Now you have your magic ring. If you still need more clarity, I do have a separate tutorial link down below as well. So your magic ring should look like this. There's 2 strings on this side. When you're crocheting, you want to make sure that you crochet over top both of those strings so that the magic ring pulls shut later on. So you're going to crochet 4 single crochets into your magic ring. Again, you're crocheting over top both the tail piece and the magic ring. This is 3 and 4. Now you're going to pull this shut. Now your ring should look like this, and you should have 4 stitches in it. Now we can move on to round 2. Make a single crochet in the first available stitch. Now we are going to pause and mark this stitch. Then we are going to increase in the next stitch. Then single crochet in the next, then increase in the next. Round 3 is going to be our last round of the fin. We are going to remove our stitch marker and make a single crochet in that stitch, and then pause and mark that stitch. Then we are going to single crochet in the next stitch as well. Then increase in the next stitch. Then repeat this, so 2 single crochets and an increase. This is going to bring our stitch count from 6 to 8. And this is the last round of the fin, so we are going to fasten off. First, I'm going to weave in my end. I always do this with all my amigurumi pieces to make sure that the middle piece doesn't come unraveled as you use the toy. And then I also trim this piece as well to make it a little bit easier to sew it on later. I'm going to flip it back side out, or right side out. Then we are going to single crochet across both sides. This is a little bit different way of closing up the piece, but it makes it way easier to sew on later. So we're going to poke our hook into the next available stitch and then the matching stitch on the other side as well. So we're folding it in half, it's going to make a triangle shape. We're going to simply join these two pieces together by single crocheting through both sides. Just like this. Then just continue crocheting across both until you run out of pieces to crochet. This takes me 3 or 4 single crochets. Then we are going to trim it. I leave a tail about 10 inches or so for sewing and then just pull this string through. And that is our first fin. You are going to repeat this exact same thing. So replay the video from the beginning to make the fin for the other side. Then we'll come back and we'll make the tail fin and the top dorsal fin. For the tail fin, we are going to start off by making a magic ring and then crochet 4 single crochets into the magic ring. So starting out just like we did for the side fins. The tail piece is made by making 2 of these small fins and joining them together. I'll show you what that means a little bit later on. But to start out, we are going to single crochet 4 into our magic ring. Then we're going to pull the ring shut, and we are going to place 1 single crochet in the next available stitch. Then mark this stitch with your stitch marker. Next we are going to increase in the next stitch. Then single crochet. And then increase. This is bringing our stitch count up to 6 stitches. Can remove our stitch marker for round 3. Round 3 is going to be 2 single crochets to start off. So make your first single crochet and then mark that stitch. Then we are going to do a second single crochet. Then we are going to make an increase. Then we're going to repeat that again. So single crochet, and then increase. This is going to bring our stitch count up to 8. We are going to fasten off of the first piece here, and then we are going to make an identical second piece. So repeat rounds 1 through 3, which you just did, but do not fasten off of the second piece. So for this first piece here, we're gonna slip stitch into the next stitch here to fasten off. Leave a tail about 10 inches or so. And then make your second piece the exact same that we just did. Now that you have 2 little fins here, we are going to join them together. This may seem intimidating at first, but trust me, it's super easy once you get the hang of it. So for the piece that we fastened off, I'm just going to tuck in that tail piece to make it easier to crochet on. And remember, we did not fasten off of the second piece that we were working on. To join them together, we are going to insert our hook into the working loop from our second piece. Then we are going to crochet directly into the second fin piece, right in the stitch where we fastened off. So right there, we are just going to join them by single crocheting. So make a single crochet. I like to pull mine nice and tight. Just like that. And now your pieces are joined together, and I'm going to mark the stitch that we just did. Then we are just going to single crochet in every stitch around. So crochet another 7 times, which is going to make your way around the first fin piece. Okay, and now we're gonna join on to the second piece again. So right there, so this is the next stitch. Again, pull it nice and tight, and then crochet together, and then you should have 7 stitches left to single crochet in to get back to the stitch marker. All right, so now we just have one big magic ring basically that we're working in. So now that we've joined them together, we should have 16 total stitches. And you're probably going to have a hole in the middle where you join them. That's totally normal. I just like to take my tail piece of one of them, thread it onto my yarn needle, and then I just simply sew it shut. Then I'm going to trim that off. And the next round we are going to decrease in every stitch all the way around to get back to 8 stitches in total. And this is going to be our last round of the tail fin as well. So making our first decrease of the round, and then mark that stitch. Then continue decreasing all the way around. That completes our tail fin, and now we can fasten off. Fasten off, I'm just going to do a slip stitch, and then leave a tail about 10 inches or so for sewing. Now the only part left that we have to do is the dorsal fin, and then we will sew our shark together. Much like all the other fins that we've made today, we are going to start off with a magic ring and single crocheting 4 into it. Pull your ring shut. And we are going to make a single crochet in the next available stitch. magic rings can be tricky to see because they're so small. So make your first single crochet of the next round and then mark that stitch. Then we are going to increase in the next stitch. Then single crochet in the next. And increase in the next. For round 3, we are going to be doing the same thing that we just did. So make your first single crochet of the round and then mark that stitch. We're alternating between single crocheting and increasing in this round, and that's going to bring our stitch count up to 9. So increase in the next stitch. And repeat this pattern until you get back to the stitch marker. In the next round, we are going to single crochet in each stitch around for a total of 9 single crochets. So make your first single crochet of the round and then mark that stitch. The last round, we are going to be increasing in every third stitch around to bring our stitch count up to 12. So remove our stitch marker, make your first single crochet of the round, and then mark that stitch. Then make another single crochet and increase in the third stitch. We're going to repeat that 2 more times to get back to the stitch marker. Now we can fasten off, and we have all the parts to our shark, so we can go ahead and sew them all together. I'm going to start off by sewing my side fins on first. So we're going to use the front loops of that round here to make it easier to sew them on. As you can see, there's like a little ridge in the body of the shark. And I like to go 2 stitches back from the eye, and that's where I begin to sew the fin on. And to sew on the piece, all you do is you thread your yarn needle, and then you take your piece and you stick your needle through one side of the piece that you're sewing on, and then one side of the body. Or you can do it backwards like this. So one side through the body, one side through the piece that you're sewing on. And then pull tight. Next one, through the body and through the piece, and pull tight. And just go through each stitch like this. And if you want it extra secure, you can go backwards and do the same thing again. It just depends on how secure you want your fin to be. So once you're happy with it, you can weave in your end, and then you can trim the piece. I'm going to go backwards a little bit just to make it more secure. again, I'm just going to weave in my end, and then I'm going to trim that piece out. Do the exact same thing with the other fin on the other side. Make sure they are symmetrical and the same distance away from the eyes. Now it's time to sew on the dorsal fin. So we are going to thread on our needle, and then we are going to pop it onto the top of the shark. I like to start mine right at that first magic ring and then just make sure it's centered between the eyes. This piece is a little bit trickier, but just go slow and you'll get the hang of it. And the most important thing is to keep it firmly in place with your fingers so it doesn't slide around the body as you're sewing it on. Again, we're just going through one stitch of the body and then out through the stitch of the fin. Last part to sew on is the tail. So you're gonna thread your yarn needle and make sure the tail is pointing vertically. So not like this, that would be like a whale. We're gonna point it vertical like this. Just make sure it's lined up with the dorsal fin. And then same thing as before, we are going through one stitch of the body and out through the stitch of the tail fin. That's it for today's Yarny box. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and I hope that your shark came out super cute. I'll see you in next month's video. Bye!